Fabio, don't blink. The campaign is up and running. We're going to start with the obvious. Why are you starting the reign as the heavyweight champion of the world with such a dangerous fight?
Start as you means to go on. I think it's a great way to stamp my authority on the division in terms of putting myself in with a top competitor, but also, like I say, start as a means to go on in terms of holding on to a world title and showing people of how I'm looking to move through as a world champion. Is that I'm not looking to hold on to it for dear life and hide in a corner with it and not let anyone touch it, and it's mine and you can't get near it. I want to put myself in good, competitive, entertaining fights for the fans and show people that, look, I'll be a true world champion, one that's in competitive fights with good fighters.
Can you just tell us a little bit, how did this fight come about, and when it was put to you, how quick were you to say, yes, I'll take that one?
Yeah, look, it took no time at all, and look, that's credit to Daniel and his team as well. He was on a short list of names, and we picked him out because I thought, look, he's the best one on the list. He's the best fighter on there. He's got the best record. He's the best competitor out there for me. Good fighter, all British showdown for a world title. Like, there's not much better than that, really. So, and again, the style clash, looking at it from an entertainment perspective for the fans and stuff, I knew that was one that everyone would be interested in, would get behind, would be excited when you see our two names on a poster and know we're going at it.
What gives you confidence going into this fight?
The things I've done already obviously give me immense confidence in terms of how I've defied the odds time and time again, proven myself time and time again, and look, just my mental strength, resilience, obviously the power I have in my hands as well is always a nice thing to have in the back pocket, but also just the growth I've had as a fighter over the last kind of 2, 3, 4 fights you want to look at, and how I've developed, how I've got better, and in terms of fight management, ring management, or situational awareness in there, and just kind of building and turning into a fully fledged fighter.
It's a good term, excuse me, it's a good term, defying the odds. Do you think you're defying the odds going into this fight? Because you're the bookie's favourite.
Yeah, look, I don't know about going into this fight. I know I have been for a long stage of my career. I think maybe the last fight was a bit of a turning point in terms of general perspective or odds and kind of how people want to look at it or look at me. So I don't know if this fight in of itself is defying the odds. Maybe people have been swayed a bit now and they're more on my side or not. Who knows? I can imagine it's probably relatively split down the middle. But one way or the other, odds or not, favourite or not, it doesn't matter to me.
Did it surprise you that you were the favourite going into this fight?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Because look, you look at our history, pedigree, background. Obviously, first you want to go all the way back to the beginning where Daniel started and where he came from in terms of GP and amateur and all of the rest through that. But then the resume of fighters he's been in with as well, your AJs, Miller, Hrgovic, Usyk twice, whichever else. Like, so that's a fantastic resume. And then versus mine, who, don't get me wrong, the last 3, 4 fights have been some great fighters as well. But there's a bit of a difference between like Usyk and some of the guys I fought. So yeah, look, I was slightly surprised.
What did you think of his wins, specifically Hrgovic, Miller, and Joshua? What did you think of those? A, in the time when you were watching them, but B, when you watch them back and you think, now I'm in with that guy.
The AJ one was surprising. I didn't necessarily have him picked for that one. I thought AJ would come through on that one. So look, I was surprised and impressed at the same time. The other two, Hrgovic and Miller, he did his job. He did his job pretty well. I wasn't like over enamoured by the performances or anything like that at all. But look, all you got to do is get through and get the win.
Specifically that Hrgovic fight, I think he showed that and Miller, he had to dig really deep. Do you think that's the kind of fight you're going to give him, where he's going to have to go to the well and find something?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, look, he has proven in other fights that he can get stuck in. I think there's a lot kind of put on him about him being maybe capitulating or being a quitter or giving up. And look, in some instances, he's proven that he can bite down and get stuck in. I think it kind of depends of almost how he feels on the night, how he feels the flow of the fight is going. So yeah, look, it might be a scenario that I find myself in where we're a bit in later rounds and we'll kind of have to dog it out at all. But look, with me, you know what you're getting. You know, I'm not shy from that at all.
Ask a silly question. Are you training to box Daniel Dubois, or are you training to knock him out?
I'm training to do it all. I'm training to do it all. Look, we're covering all bases. I'm not going in there with any one set plan. I never have done in any of my fights. Look, don't get me wrong. I can bang. I've got a bit. I've got a bit of whack. I can hit people when it hurts, and look, I can get them out of there. Great, but it's in the back pocket as opposed to it being at the forefront and me just running in there, looping some overhand rights and hoping one of them lands.
If you want to become Britain's greatest current heavyweight, and by proxy doing that, you become maybe the greatest British heavyweight of all time, what have you got to do? You've got to beat Daniel, but in your mind, what have you got to do to achieve that status?
Just like I said right at the beginning, continue like this. Continue on this path of picking out, picking, and I mean hand picking. Like again, we go back to it, but this is a voluntary. Like I didn't have to pick him. I chose him because of that exact reason. I want to be remembered for being a great fighter, but also a great world champion. Someone who wasn't shy, didn't cherry pick fights, didn't pick the easy ones just to hold on to and then have some sort of title of reign, or if I held on to my belt for 8 years and I fought like nobody's in that time or whatever else and dodged all the good fights. Like that's not how I want to be remembered. So how I want to be remembered is a great fighter who always took on the best, took on big challenges and threw himself in at the deep end.
What do you expect him to be like when you see him today? Do you expect handshake and a warm welcome, or is it going to be frosty? Or
I don't know. Like me and Daniel have never had any sort of beef, if you want to say it, or back and forth, or any sort of negative talk about each other at all in the past. So I don't know. I don't know how but he might be the type of character. Sometimes I've seen it in the past where he needs to create a bit of aggravation to get himself G'd up for it, or create like a thought in his head or a scenario, something imaginary to think like he hates me and I'm his enemy and all of this. And maybe we'll see. Like I'll be ready for each outcome.
You expected him to get up in your face if there's a face-off later on?
I don't think he will. No, I don't think he will. Like I hope not, because it's all extra for no reason. Like there's no need for all the back and forth. But like, don't get me wrong. Like if he wants to, then fine. If you wanna do that, I can meet you right in the same place. There's no bother to me.
It's good television. It's good television if it does. Let me ask you, what do you think of the name Don't Blink? Fits the show.
Yeah, I think it does actually fit perfectly. I was actually really quite happy with it when it was come up with, because I think it does quite summarise the fight in of itself. Of that any moment that it could just go one way or the other or whichever else, because we know, look, the obvious factors there. We know we both hit hard. We know we're both big punchers. So look, and I've proven in fights as well, was that you could say in my fights, don't blink, because at 1 minute it looks like it's going the wrong way, and then all of a sudden I'm stood there with my hand raised. So yeah, I think don't blink is a perfect fit.
What do we hear at the end of the fight? And you or and still?
And still. And I'll actually get the chance to hear it in the ring with the belt in hand raised.
Fabio, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.